श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं गुरु मे देव सर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। या विद्या शिवकेशवादिजन्मी या वै जगन्मोहिनी या ब्रह्मादिपीठिकां जगदानन्दैकसन्दायिनी या पञ्चप्रणवद्रेपनलिनी या चित्कलामालिनी सा मां भात भगवती श्रीराजराजेश्वरी। ॐ अक्षस्त्रक्परशुगदेशूलशं पद्मं धनुकुण्डिकां दण्डं शक्तिमतं च चर्मचरणं कण्ठासुराभाजनं शूलं पाशसुदर्शने च दधतीं हस्तैः प्रवालापर्वां सेवे श्रीमर्दने महालक्ष्मीसरोजस्थिताम्। ॐ So previously we looked at the Navarātrī Vrata and its merits and the anecdotes related to the Navarātrī Vrata we looked at previously, and also we looked at starting from Devī, who is Devī, Devi's Vibhutis, Madhukaitapavada, and then the Navarātrī Vrata. So we looked at all those things. Now today we start with Madhyama Charitra, which is the middle section of Devī Māhātmyam, this history that's in the middle. And for this Madhyama Charitra, Mahalakshmi is the Devata. And first part, Madhukaitapavada, that part is Mahakali is the Devata, and now Mahalakshmi is the Devata. And praying to that Mahalakshmi, we will start today with Mahishasura Vada Sangha, the story of Mahishasura Vada. First, we look at the birth of Mahisha and then Mahishasura, and then we look at how Devī battles with the army of Mahishasura. So previously, there were two sons of Dhanu, known as Dhanu is one of Daksha's daughter married to Kashyapa, and Kashyapa married 13 daughters, and from them all the creation started. Okay, so whether Devatas known as Adityas, among them Vishnu, Indra were part of them, one of Aditi, and then Diti's sons were known as Daityas, and similarly Dhanu's sons were known as Danavas, and then we have nagas and birds and horses and cows and all those animals and various other things were born of different wives of Kashyap. Right. So here Dhanu's two sons, known as Ramba and Karamba, they were very famed in the world because of their superiority, but they did not have any children. And desiring of children, they went to the sacred banks of Panchanada River, which is in today's Indus River. So they went there and performed severe asceticism for many long years. Karamba got himself submerged in the water and began his severe tapasya. And while the other one, Ramba, he had recourse to, he spent his time doing tapasya under a juicy peepal tree, and there he began worship of Agni. So while Ramba remained engaged in worshipping Panchagni as part of his tapasya. So Panchagni worship, again, is known as having 4 fires created, 4 sacrificial fires created, and the heat coming from them, and then from above Surya's heat coming. So like this, 5 heats burning you, in the middle you sit there and do the tapasya. That's Panchagni. So like this he was practicing. And knowing these two doing the tapasya, Indra was very much pained, and he came to that Panchanada banks, and going there he assumed the form of a crocodile and caught hold of the leg of Karamba, who was doing tapasya in the water, and killed Karamba in the form in that river itself. So he killed him. So hearing the death of his brother Karamba, Rambha became very much angry, and he decided to offer his own head as a oblation, as a sacrifice his own head to Agni, and he wanted to cut off his own head. So him being very angrily, he got hold of his head and hair from his left hand, and in the right hand he took an axe, and he was about to cut off his head and offer that to Agni. At that time, Agni came and he spoke to him saying that you are stupid. Why have you decided to cut off your own head? Because killing oneself is the great sin. Atmahatya Atmahatyati dusvadya. So Agni says, so killing oneself is a great sin, and there is no means of deliverance from that sin. So again, Atmahatya in Shastras, where it's clearly stated that if one commits Atmahatya, there are a lot of post activities, funeral as part of the cremation and other things. There is a lot of things that's done, but normally Atmahatya is a grave sin, and for them, those who commit Atmahatya have to suffer a lot in the hell, even if they reach that stage. Normally it is said that they will wander around in Pishacha form. So that's why it is great sin. There is no mukti from that sin. So why are you then ready to execute it? So do not seek your death now. What purpose that's going to serve? By dying, what purpose that's going to serve? So rather, you ask a boon from me, and you will get your welfare. So Agni, like this, assures him, offering a boon, and stops him from committing that, offering Ramba offering his own head. So hearing this, Ramba stops that act, and he says that if you are pleased with me, grant my desired boon, that a son will be born to me, and who will destroy the forces of my enemy, that is the Indra, and who will conquer all the three worlds, and that son will be invincible in every way by the Devatas and Danavas and men, and very powerful. He will have the ability to assume any form at his will, and he will be respected by all. So like this, Agni was sought after by Ramba a boon, and Agni says that you will get the son as you desire. Therefore, desist from this act of attempting a suicide. And with any female of whichever species you cohabit, you will get a son, and more powerful than you, and there is no doubt about this. So granting boon like this, Agni disappears from this place, and Ramba, who was during that tapasya, was surrounded by the Yakshas, went from that place, and as he was wandering in that picturesque sceneries in that river banks, he comes across a lonely female buffalo, Mahishi. Mahishi was maddened with passion, and Ramba, she fell into sight of Ramba. And Ramba desired to unite with her in preference of any other woman, and Mahishi also gladly yielded and to his purpose, and Ramba unites with her. And it was impelled by the destiny like that they unite, and that Mahishi female buffalo became pregnant. And with that, Ramba carried her, or took her, that Mahishi, as his dear wife, and took her to Patala for her protection. And this is not in the Puranas I have come across, but Mahishi's part is mentioned obviously in Devi Bhagavata and Narada Purana and various other Puranas, Ramba having child with her. But Mahishi itself, who she was, why that female buffalo came in front of Ramba and things like that, that's not mentioned, or at least I haven't come across. But there are folk food stories and things like that, which says that she was previously a woman who disturbed a rishi who was doing tapasya, and rishi cursed her that she will become a buffalo. That's one story. And the another story is she was the daughter of a Danava, and her father was killed, who was ruling in Patala, and Indra killed him, and she became very angry, and she wanted to take revenge, and that's why she started doing tapasya in the forest, disguised herself as a buffalo, because she was worried that if Indra comes to know about her tapasya, he will disturb her. That's why she was doing that tapasya as a buffalo form. But her that tapasya created all the ill effects in that forest, and a rishi in that forest who was also doing tapasya became very angry, and he cursed her, realizing that she is actually not a buffalo, cursed her, saying that your son will be born as a buffalo. So because you are becoming buffalo, you will become a buffalo, and you will remain like that. You will have a family, which son also born as a buffalo. Like this, there are different other stories, but I haven't come across these stories directly in any of the Puranas. Having said that, if Ramba is destined to unite with her, probably some of these stories may be true. So anyway, so coming back to the story, Ramba tries to take her to Patala, but in Patala, people reject that, saying that you can't marry a buffalo as your wife. So Brahma comes back to the place where he was, and with the Yakshas, he was living there. And while he was living with the buffalo, Mahishi, the other buffaloes in that forest, they started as natural going after this female buffalo, Mahishi, Ramba's wife now. Okay. But Ramba becomes very angry, and he goes after that male buffalo which was coming towards his wife, and there is a battle takes place between the forest buffalo, male buffalo, and Ramba, and that buffalo struck him violently with its horn, and Ramba fell down senseless, and he died that battle. So Ramba dies, and seeing her husband dead, Mahishi runs away from that place in distress, and she goes after and took refuge with the Yakshas who were in that people tree, and Rakshas fought that male buffalo that was chasing her, and killed that male buffalo. Now the Yakshas started protecting, said they will protect her, but because Ramba was very much liked by the Yakshas created a funeral pyre and started cremation of Rambha's body. And as they were cremating his body, Mahishi also, even though Yakshas resisted, she, as a chaste wife, she entered that funeral pyre and gave up her life. So, as Ramba and Mahishi both were burnt, at that time, from Mahishi's womb, a child came out, and also Ramba was also from that funeral pyre came out alive again, but he, in his new form, he came out and he became known as Raktabija. So Ramba, in his second form, now he came out as he came out from that funeral pyre. He became known as Raktabija, and the son that was born, he came out because his affection towards his son, he came out, and as that son that was born to Mahishi and Ramba became in the world famous, known as Mahishasura, and he became, the Danavas installed Mahisha to the throne, and he became the very powerful Raktabija, also supported Mahisha in the battles against all the Devatas and Danavas and everybody, human beings. He supported him. So like this, Mahisha became very terrible, and there was a terrible battle that takes place between the Devatas and Danava forces on the earth when Mahishasura was the ruler of the world. Mahishasura went to Mountain Sumeru and there he performed very severe and excellent tapasya there. Even meditating on his own Ishtadevata, Brahma, he for full 10,000 years he did the tapasya. And when Brahma became very pleased with his tapasya, he comes there and asks Mahishasura, what you want, what are your desires? I will grant you a boon. And hearing this, Mahisha says that I want to become immortal. Therefore, do you for me that I have no fear of death, so I will be protected from death. So give me such a boon. Brahma says that उत्पन्नस्य ध्रुवं मृत्युर ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च सर्वथा मरणोत्पत्ति सर्वेषां प्राणिना किल. So he says that birth must be followed by death and death must be followed by birth. So this is the eternal law of nature. Then this is also certain that when one is born, one must die, and one dies, one will be born again. So Brahma says that. So again, similar to line we see in Bhagavad Gita as well, where Krishna says, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Those who are born has to die, and those who are died has to come back and born again. So similar thing Brahma also tells here Mahisha, and he says that what more can I say than even the high mountains. He says that Nasha kalena sarvesham praninam daityapungavah Mahamahidharanam cha samudranam cha sarvata. So he says that even the high mountains, vast oceans, samudra, and all the beings will die when the time will come. So all of them will die. So that's why you are virtuous. Therefore, ask any boon other than immortality. So I will grant you that. So Mahisha then says that, oh Pitamaha, if you are pleased, then he says that na devan manushya daityan maranam me pitamaha purushan nacha me mrityor esha mam ka anishyati. So he says that no devatas, danavas, or human beings of male sex can cause my death. So there is none among women who can cause my death. Therefore, tasmane varanam nunam kaminyaha kuru padmaja. Let women be the cause of my death, because how can a woman kill me? They are too weak to kill me. So let women become the cause of my death. So like this he asks, and Brahma says that Yada kadapi daityendra naryaste maranam dhruvam. So your death will certainly occur at any time through a woman. So like this Brahma says, and then he says that no man will be able to cause your death. Having said that, Brahma returns to his Brahmaloka, and Mahishasura becomes very pleased with the boon he has got, because he thought no woman is capable of killing him, and that's why he becomes very pleased. So then that powerful Mahishasura, with those boons of Brahma, puffed with vanity of getting that boon, he obtained the sovereignty and brought the whole world under his control. And he, being the paramount power, began to protect entire earth acquired by the power of his arms, and again, he had sole sovereignty over the entire earth, ruling over all the rival kings. If the kings, as per their Kshatriya duty, if they came for the battlefield, Mahisha used to kill them. And the Brahmanas all over the earth started serving him, and they gave their yajna offerings to him itself and not to the Devatas, Indra and other Devatas. So like this, Mahisha got the sole sovereign sway of the entire world, and he's proud of his boons and desired to conquer. Then he desired to conquer the heavens. He was protected, he was supported by his commander-in-chief, very powerful Chikshura, who was maddened with pride, and Tamra, who became his treasurer, which was guarded by the many soldiers. And there were many other generals in his army called Asiloma, Bidala, Udakra, Bashkala, Trinetra, Kala, Bandhuka, and many others, Danavas, who helped him in protecting that entire earth. So Mahishasura, with the desire of conquering the Swarga, he sends the messenger to Indra to surrender. Indra takes counsel of Brahaspati, and Brahaspati urges him not to go into battle because of Brahma's boon, but Indra says that it is his duty and he has to take battle and he wants to kill Mahishasura. So then Brahaspati advises him to seek help of Brahma, and Brahma takes him to Shankara, and Shankara from Kailasa, they go to Vaikuntha and seek Vishnu's help as well. So like this, all the Devatas, Brahma, Vishnu, Hari, Indra, and all the other Devatas riding on their Vahanas, respectively, they come for battle with Mahishasura. Brahma comes on his swan, Vishnu comes on Garuda, Shankara on his bull, Indra on Airavata, Kartikeya on his peacock, Yama on his buffalo Vahana, and all the other Devata forces come in that battlefield and they meet Mahishasura on their way, fully equipped with all the weapons in their arms. Then a dreadful battle takes place between the Devatas and Danavas, where arrows, axes, prashas, musalas, which is clubs, parashus, pickaxes, gadas, clubs, pattisha, shula, chakra, shakti, tomara, mudgara, bindipala, langalas, and various other weapons were used in that in that battle between the Devatas and Mahishasura. Mahishasura's army. So like this, the battle takes place. The commander Chikshura, Vidala, Tamra, and others of battle for Mahisha. Vidala was made unconscious by Indra's son Jayanta in that battlefield. Tamra was also hurt and lost his senses. Seeing this, Mahisha became very angry and he started attacking Devatas. Then the general Chikshura, Ugrasya, Ugravirya, Asiloma, Trinetra, Bhaskala, Andaka, and many other warriors, they also came to fight. Like this, severe fight takes place between Bhaskala and Indra, Mahisha and Rudra, Trinetra and Yama, Mahahanu and Kubera, Asiloma and Varuna. Like this battle takes place, the full 100 years the battle takes place between the Danavas, Mahisha and Devatas, and at that time Devatas defeated all of them, run away, and Mahisha banishes Devatas from the Swarga, and the Devatas, the tormented, began to wander in the caves, hills, and dales for a period of very good times. They were wandering like that, losing their places. So Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva goes back to their Kailasa, Brahmaloka or Vaikuntha where they came from, but Indra and others losing heaven, Swarga, they started wandering in all the places. So then vanquished by the Devatas who were defeated like that, they went to Brahmaloka, and with Brahma at their head, they went to Kailasa, and with Shiva, they went to Vaikuntha, and then all the Devatas with the Trimurtis, then Indra and others, they explained what happened, full story of the Devatas and the trouble they are living in currently. They say that they described the troubles caused by Mahisha, and they explained that Surendragni, Nilenduran, Yamasya Varunasya cha, Annesham Chadikaran Swayameva Tishtadi, Swargan Nirakrataha Sarve Tena Devagana Bhuvi, Vicharanti Etha Martya Mahishena Duratmana. The Mahisha, the Danava Mahisha, in his own person, dominates over the jurisdictions of Surya, Indra, Agni, Vayu, Chandra, Yama, Varuna, and the other Devatas. So again, all these Devatas have their position. Okay, it is not their names of Agni or Varuna or Vayu. All this is a position held by somebody. When Mahisha took over, he replaced all that. He had his own government. Okay, and Indra says that Mahisha kicked the hollows out from the Swargas, and we are now wandering on the earth like human beings. It has been now told you, so tell me what should do. We are taking your refuge, help us. So like this, Indra prays to Trimurtis, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. They pray to them and they seek the destruction of Mahishasura. So when they do like this, then at that time, having heard this from the Indra and others Devatas, Vishnu became very angry. Shiva also became very angry, and both their faces became frowned, and the big lines came up in their forehead. So then from that issued a great energy. Tejas of the energy came from the mouth of Vishnu, who was full of intense anger, and from the mouths of Brahma and Shiva, and from the bodies of Indra and other devatas also came very great energy, and all that came together. So ativa tejasakkootam jwalantam parvatam dadrushasте surastatra jwala vapta digantaram adala tatra tejasa sarvadeva shirisham ekastam tadabhunnari vyapta lokatrayam tusha. So the devatas then saw that mass of intense energy there, like burning mountain, that pervading all the regions of sky with its blaze, and that unparalleled energy born of the bodies of the Devatas. Again, energy is Shakti. Shakti is Devi. Okay, so Devi, that was in the form of all of their Devatas, came together and born of those Devatas. It is not here that Indra, Agni, Varuna, or Vishnu, Brahma, Rudra, all of them gave their energies together. It is the Shakti who has given them already. She gave them the energy. She now took a portion of that. Okay, and with that, with the bodies of all the Devis, Devatas, that energy came, and that spread all over the three worlds with this light, and gathering it became one female. Ekastam tadabhunnari. So that all come together, and it became a female form. It formed into it became came out as a female form, and by that. Also, what was Shiva's energy, Shiva's Shakti, that became the face. Face was developed of that female. And Yama's energy became her hair, her arms are Vishnu's, and Chandra's became her breasts, and her waist became by Indra's energy, Indra's, and Varuna's became her legs and thighs, Prithvi's became her hips, Brahma's became her feet, and her toes were by Surya's energy, and the Vasu's energy were her hands and fingers, and Kubera's energy became her nose, and her tooth grew by Prajapati's, and her three eyes were developed by Agnis, and her eyebrows came from two Sandhyas, Prata and Sayam Sandhyas, and her ears from Vayu's energy, and then coming together being of all the energies, the other devatas became that auspicious Devi. That Devi, it became in that Devi's form. Then, looking at her who had sprung from the combined energies, Shaktis of all the Devatas, the Devatas who were troubled by Mahisha felt very happy. And then at that time, Rudra gave his Trishula trident to that Devi. Vishnu, Krishna gave his chakra, Varuna gave his conch shell, Agni gave his spear, Maruta gave the bow and quiver filled with arrows, Indra gave Vajra, his weapon, and Indra also gives the bell from the Airavata elephant. Yama gives the rod, which is the fate, the rod, and Varuna gives a noose, and Prajapati gives us a necklace of beads, and Brahma gives the Kamandalu, the earthen water pot, and the Surya gives his own rays on all the pores of her body. So she starts shining, and Kala gives her the sword, which was spotless, and a spotless shield, and Sagara, the ocean, gives her a milk, a spotless necklace of pearls, and also pair of undecaying garments Sagara gives, and a celestial crest jewel, a pair of earrings, bracelets, brilliant half-moon ornament, and armlet all over her arm, and a pair of bright anklets, and a necklet, and a finest rings and rings and gems all over her fingers were given by Vishwakarma, which are brightly polished and also a brightly polished axe and weapons of many shapes and armor were given to her by Vishwakarma. And Jaladi, ocean, gave her a garland of fadeless lotus flowers for her head and also for her breast, and uh, brilliant lotuses besides her. And Himavan, the mountain Himavat, gave her a lion and gems of various kinds. Kubera gave her a drinking cup filled with wine, and Shesha gave her the Shesha, the lord of serpents, gave her a serpent necklace, Nagahara, adorned with various gems, Nagamanis. So with that she gave. Sammanita nana doche sattahasam muhurmuh tasyanadena govarena kritsamapuritam nabha. So honored by the Devatas with the gifts and ornaments and weapons, the Devi uttered a loud roar blended with like a horse laugh, and again she gave a loud roar like that, and the whole welkin filled with that terrible roar. And by penetrating the exceeding that sound of her roar, great echo arose, and all the world shook, the seas trembled, the earth quaked, and all the mountains moved. Chachala Vasudha Cheluhu Sakalascha Mahidaraha Jayeti Devascha Muda Tamuchu Simuvahine Tushtavar Manesh Chainmam Bhaktinam Ramamurtaya Drishta Samastam Sankshuddam Trailokyam Mavararayaha. And Devi said, Jaya, Jaya, conquer you. Like this, Devatas in joy, they praised her who was riding on that lion. The Munis praised her, bowing their entire bodies in faith. They did a namaskara to her and they praised her with various hymns and mantras. And seeing all the three words greatly agitated, the enemies of the Devatas, the Mahisha's side, they all rose up together. So when they heard all this and the noise Devatas making, and happily they are singing and have the noise they are making, Mahisha's Sainya army became very agitated and they became prepared, saying something is wrong. So they thought, what is this? And like this, Asura Mahisha, in angrily, he rushed, surrounded by all the Asuras towards that roar. And then they saw this Devi pervading all three words with her light, causing the earth to bow with her touch of her feet. So earth was moving with touch of her feet. So like this, so she was there grazing the firmament with her crest, shaking the whole Patala with the tongue of her bow, and standing, pervading the sky all around, and with her 1,000 arms, she was standing like that. And seeing her like that, Devi asked Mahisha to go to Patala and leave the Swarga to Devatas, but Mahisha becomes very angry and he sends his army to fight Devi. So then a battle began between the Devatas Devi and the Asuras and Daityas on Mahisha's side. Danavas, all of them were coming, and the sky was illuminated with the weapons, the arms that hurled from both sides. The Asura Mahisha's general, Chikshura, he fought with her, and Asura Chamara attended his cavalry with that he fought with Devi, and Asura Udagra with 6 masses of his chariot he fought, and Mahanu with 1,000 masses of chariot he gave the battle, and Asura Asiloma fought with 50 million, 5 crores of and 600 of masses of army he came, and Bashkala fought in that battle. Udagra Ugradarshana fought with many thousands of elephants and horses and surrounded with 10 he fought with crores of chariots in that battle. And Asura named Bidala, he fought there as well in that battlefield, surrounded by 50 masses of chariots. And then the other great Asuras with their own mass of army, surrounded with chariots and elephants and horses, fought with Devi in that battlefield. Now, Asura Mahisha also surrounded with thousands of kotis of chariots and elephants and horses came there in that battlefield. Tomareir bindi palaischa shaktivir musalaistata yuda sammige devya khadge parashupattishe kechit chikshipo shakti kechit pashams tatapre. So with iron maces, with javelins, with spears, clubs, swords, axes, halberds, they fought in that battle against Devi. And some hurled spears, some others with nooses, and they assailed Devi with bows and swords and various other things in order to kill her. Leeleiva prachicheda nichashastrastra vastrini anayastanana Devi stuyamana surashibhi. So, and then Devi Chandika cut off, as it were, merely simply a play for her, all those weapons and arms that's raining forth towards her. With her own weapons and arms, she cut off all that. And Devi did not look any tired at all in having so many people attacking her and facing them. She did not feel anything. And looking at that, Devatas and Rishis started praising her. And the Devi hurled her weapons and arms at the asuras in many. The lion also that was carrying Devi angrily ruffled its mane and then stalked among those armies of asuras. And with deep breaths, Ambika fighting those battlefield, all the devatas, and she attacked them in hundreds and thousands. So again, they fought with axes, javelins, swords, halberds, destroying that asura band. She continued to have that battle with them. And in that battlefield, again, bands were raised with the din of large drums and conch shells and various other drums were making it look like a festival from the asuras side. They were very happy to have this battle and they were battling like that against Devi. So, Tato Devi Trishulena Gadaya Shakti Rushtibhi Kadgadibhischa Shatasho Nijagana Mahasuran Pataya Masa Chaivanyan Ghantasura Mohitan Asuran Bhuvipashena Badva Chanyana Karshet Kechid Duda Krita Sikshne Kadgabhate Statapare Vipotida Nipatena Gadaya Bhuvisherate Vemascha Kechid Drudram Musalena Brishammataha. So then Devi with her trident, with her Gada, with showers of spears and with her sword and with other weapons slaughtered great asuras in hundreds and laid others low who were bewitched by her ringing bell. They could not tolerate that noise coming from. And binding those asuras with her nose, she dragged them on the ground. And others again, she cut off with the twain of sharp slashes of her sword and crushed by the blows of her mace. Some lay on the ground, some grievously battered by her club, vomited forth blood, and some were felled on the ground by pierced in the breast by her trident, her trishula, and some were closely massed together, were cut in pieces by the torrent of her arrows in that battlefield. And like this, the army was troubled by Devi, and some with their arms cut off, some with severed necks, their heads fell from the others, and some were torn asunder, cut off in the middle by the Devi. Like this, they were troubled, and the great asuras like that fell off with legs cleanly cut off, and some were cut off by the goddess in two parts from top to bottom, with single arm, eyes, foot on one side, and each part fell across. And others fell and rose again. Although their heads were cut off, they still fell and then still came, thinking they were standing up again with the body alone. And headless bodies like that, still grasping the finest weapons, fought with Devi, and others danced there in that battlefield, keeping the time with musical instrument and things like that. The dead bodies with the head severed still held sword and spear and lances in their hand, and they were still shouting, attack, attack, stand, stand, and they're saying to Devi, stand now, I'm going to attack. Like this, they were the army was destroyed with the destroyed chariots, elephants, horses, the asuras, the earth became impassable, where that great battle took place, and the large river formed with the torrents of blood flowing in that from the armies of the asuras and the elephants and the horses. So, like this, Ambika brought that great army of the asuras to utter destruction in a moment, just like a fire consumes a huge pile of dry grass and timber. And the lion also, quivering its mane, start and on that roaring loudly, it attacked those asuras, while that lion again prowled and it lives out of the bodies of the enemies of the asuras, of those asuras. The troops on the asura side were troubled, and the Devatas, on the other hand, started showering flowers on Devī. And then, seeing his battle like this, now the great Asura general Chikshura, seeing his army slaughtered like this, he advances and angrily towards Ambika. And Asura, the Chikshura, he rains a shower of arrows on Devī in that battlefield, just like a clouds giving a shower on the mountain Meru. And then the goddess Devī cutting off those masses of arrows. Then in reply, she cuts off kills off his horses and with arrows, and with his charioteer, and she splits the bow also that Chikshura was holding, and his banner. Like this she kills, and with a swift missile she pierces his limbs as he stood with his bow cut off. With his bow shattered, his charioteer killed and chariot destroyed, horses killed, Chikshura takes up a sword and a shield, and he rushes towards Devī. And with utmost anger, he strikes the lion's head with a sharp edge of the sword, the Devi's lion head with the sharp edge of the sword, and strikes Devī in the left arm. That sword striking Devi's arm, it cuts off into multiple pieces. Then again, angrily, he takes up a spear, a shula, and he hurls that at Bhadrakali, that Ambika Devī. He hurls at that shula coming like a Surya coming with very brightness. It comes towards Devī, but Devī again cuts off with that shula with her own shula, and also she cuts off that into hundreds of fragments. And then she, with a shula, with a spear, she strikes at Chikshura, and with that Chikshura also cut off into hundreds of pieces. So when Mahisha's general Chikshura was killed like that, Chamara becomes very angry, and he advances mounted on an elephant, and he hurls a shula at Devī, and down to the ground, Ambika quickly strikes him, and like this she destroys that shula that he was sent. And seeing his spear broken like that, Chamara angrily again strikes a pike towards at her, but she again cuts off and breaks that into pieces with her arrows. Then the lion Devī was riding on jumps on top of the elephant which Chikshura was riding on, and the elephant's forehand it jumps on, and with its claws it starts striking elephant's head. And with that, elephant falls on the ground, and with that, as it falls, the lion jumps, as Chamara was also falling from the elephant. Lion jumps on Chamara, and with his paw, it gives a blow on the Chamara's head, and with that, Chamara was killed in that battle by the lion. Then Udagra was killed in the battle by Devī, Ambika with stones and trees and other things, and Karala was also killed in the battle by the Devī with her teeth and fists and feet. And Devī angrily grounds Uddata to powder and with the blows of her mace, and then She kills Bhaskala with an arrow, and Tamra and Andaka with arrows she kills. And then, like this, the three-eyed Devi Ambika, she kills Ugrasya and Ugravirya Mahanu with her Trishula. And with sword, she kills Bidala's, she cuts off Bidala's head, separates it from his body, and she dispatches both Durdara and Durmukha to Yama's place with the arrows. Now, as the army was being slaughtered and destroyed like that, Mahishasura becomes very angry, and uh, in his own buffalo shaped, he is terrified with his troops, and he laid low blow by his muzzle. So he started attacking Devi with his muzzle. He started attacking, and then stamping with his hooves. He started attacking, and then with his tail he lashed at Devi, and then he gashed with his horns. And again, with him rushing towards, he started attacking Devi in that battlefield. And then again, with his breath as well, bellowing his breath, he started attacking. So like this, Mahisha started attacking, and having again laid in that battlefield, he attacks Devi like that. Mahishasura rushes towards Devi's lion, and then Ambika, becoming angry, she has battle with Mahisha, and Mahisha again coming near Devi. He with his horns he takes up a great mountain on his horns, and then throws that towards Devi. And with his tail, he lashes the sea, and then creates huge waves and creates trouble. And like this, he starts attacking Devi in that Mahisha form, in that buffalo form. He started attacking, and Chandika looked on that great Asura, who was very angry, and she became very angry and to kill that Mahishasura. She she flings her noose, the rope she was having, with over him, and she binds Mahishasura. But at that time, he quits his Mahisha form, his buffalo form, and he suddenly becomes a lion. And then Ambika cuts off the head of that lion, and he suddenly turns himself into a man with scimitar in his hand. Straight away, again, Devi with arrows strikes that man with his scimitar and shield. Then Mahishasura becomes a huge elephant, and tugged the great lion. He pulls that lion of Devi with his trunk. Then Devi cuts off his trunk with her sword, and like this, she protects that lion. Then Mahishasura again assumes the form of a buffalo once again, and shook the three worlds with his horns, and he started moving. So like this, then Devi becomes very angry, and she drinks her beverage and laughed loudly, and she looks angrily towards Mahishasura. And the Asura also becomes very angry, puffed with his strength and valor and frenzy. He hurls mountains at Devi Chandika with his horns, and she again destroying those mountains into small pieces with her arrows. She starts attacking Mahishasura. Then Devi tells Mahishasura, Garja Garja Kshanam Moda Madhu Yavat Pibamyaham Maya Tvai Hate Traiva Garjishyantya Devataha. So roar, roar on your brief moment, O fool, while I drink this beverage. The Devata soon will roar, and when I kill you, Devatas will be very happy. So saying this, she leaped towards and she leaped upwards and sat on that great Asura, on that buffalo, and kicked him on the neck with her foot, and struck her spear to him. And when when she kicked her like that, the half issued from his mouth. The soot came out, and then Devi once again attacked him from the other half. Like this, Devi cut off his head with great sword, and like this, she killed that Daitya. And when Mahishasura was killed by Devi like that, great Daityas became very much worried. All the other remaining army became very worried, and they started running away from that battlefield. And the Devatas and Rishis poured praises on that Devi, and the Gandharva chiefs, they burst into songs, and Apsara started dancing when at that moment, seeing Mahishasura being killed. So with this, in this Madhyama Charitra, we complete the in Devi Mahatma Saptashati, we complete the third chapter, second and third chapter of Devi Mahatma, which is slaying of Mahishasura's army and Mahishasura. And after this, Devatas praise and sing praise for Devi. We will look at that shloka by shloka tomorrow. Those prayers that Indra and others offered to Devi, we will look at that tomorrow in detail. So till that time, let's keep praying to that Mahishamardini, the Devi killed Mahishasura, praying to her. Let's close today's session. ज्ञानिनामपि चेतांसि देवी भगवती हि सा बलादाकृष्य मोहाय महामाया प्रयच्छति दुर्गे स्मृता हरति भीतिमशेषजन्तोः स्वस्थैः स्मृतामतिमतीव शुभां ददासि दारिद्र्यदुःखभयहारिणी का तुदन्या सर्वोपकारकरणाय सदार्थचित्ता सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते शरणागतदीनार्थपरित्राणपरायणे सर्वस्यार्तिहरे देवी नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते सर्वस्वरूपे सर्वेशी सर्वशक्तिसमन्विते भयेभ्यस्त्रायिनो देवी दुर्गे देवी नमोऽस्तुते रोगानशेषानपहन्ति दुष्टारुष्टातु कामान् सकलान्नभीष्टान् तामाश्रितान् उपन्नराणां तामाश्रिताः श्वेतां प्रयान्ति सर्वाबाधाप्रशमनं त्रैलोक्यस्य अखिलेश्वरी एवमेव त्वया कार्यम् अस्मद्वैर्विनाशनम् अपराधशतं कृत्वा जगदम्बेति चोच्चरेत् यां गतिं संवाप्नोति नतां ब्रह्मादयसुराः सपराधोऽस्मि शरणं प्राप्तस्त्वं जगदम्बिकेदानिकम्प्योऽहं चिते यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु अज्ञानाद् विस्मृमेद्भ्रान्त्या यन्न्यूनम् अधिकं कृतं तत्सर्वं क्षम्यता देवी प्रसीद परमेश्वरी कामेश्वरी जगन्माता सच्चिदानन्दविग्रहे ग्रहाणार्चमिमां प्रीत्या प्रसीद परमेश्वरी सर्वरूपमयी देवीं सर्वं दैवीमयं जगत् अतोऽहं विश्वरूपां त्वां नमामि परमेश्वरी यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं चेत् भवेत् तत्सर्वं पूर्णं भवति तत्सर्वं तत्प्रसादान् महेश्वरी श्रीजगदम्बार्पणमस्तु।